Hello everyone, welcome to another Daily Muppet, a special edition today, as we have breaking news that Erik Ten Hag will be appointed the next Manchester United manager. This news first is broken and comes to us from ESPN. Let's take a look here. I just want to read through it a little bit. It says Manchester United are set to finalize the appointment of Erik Ten Hag as the club's next manager, sources have told ESPN, and that's Mark Ogden and Rob Dawson, two people I think would be very interesting to listen to in the future. Ten Hag was interviewed last month, the four-man shortlist. And it says sources in England and the Netherlands have told ESPN that United have settled on Ten Hag as their new manager and that the Ajax manager is ready to leave the Dutch champions to take charge at Old Trafford at the end of the season. Led by John Murtough, Darren Fletcher reported to Chief Executive Richard Arnold, with Joint Chairman Joel Glazer having the final decision on the appointment. While some at United consider PSG boss Pochettino, sources have told ESPN Arnold and Glazer are in agreement that Ten Hag is the best candidate to replace interim manager Ralf Rangnick, who has been in charge since December. And then it goes on to give a lot of reasons for all of these things and explains it. And then at the end, it says something really interesting. Sources added that Rene Meulensteen, first-team coach under Sir Alex Ferguson from 2007 to 2013, is one candidate being considered as Ten Hag's assistant. The recruitment department at the club have also been told to finalize shortlists on players in each position and present them to the new manager, though he will also be allowed to present his own targets. So, real interesting. There's also a report that came out, it's come from everybody now. Jason Bird at The Telegraph says that specifically, again, that Ralph was not involved in this. And there's a reason I stressed that for a while, which is it wasn't actually to downplay Ten Hag. The point was, I think it was, I actually have a lot of faith in the Murtough and Fletcher duo to do the right things at United and to make a decision and to bring the club back. And I've said a lot of good things about them and heard a lot of good things about them. And I thought it was discrediting to them to put everything on Ralf Rangnick and say, oh, it's because of Ralph that they're going to make an appointment. It's not. They came to this, they led this process. And even though it's still somewhat is my understanding that certain areas preferred Pochettino and that there was a divide as discussed in the article, that there was a split in the decision making, there was a split in opinion, they're still the ones that interviewed and brought forward Ten Hag as a viable candidate. Okay, and so I think it's just important to recognize these things and get that, because there's a lot of discrediting of John Murtough and Darren Fletcher on Twitter and elsewhere, not acknowledging the role that they have and the expertise that they have. If Ten Hag is a success at United, they deserve an enormous amount of credit for making it happen. And I think it's fair to give them that credit and not try to pass it all off onto Ralf Rangnick, who has been very limited in his involvement on this. So, just to address a couple of things before we get into some other discussions, back in February, just regarding, there's obviously people have a lot of questions why you talked so much about Pochettino and things like that. Back in February, I heard from some very connected people, just one or two on my end, but a fair few well-known individuals that are not my sources or anything like that, that Pochettino believed he had the job in summer. I believed these people too, but clearly it was not as advanced, or they were misinformed. And so I passed that along, and that information, none of it is mine, but these are the things that I passed along. And, at the start of March, we hadn't even spoken to Ten Hag's reps. So it kind of makes sense what happened there, that maybe there were people involved or on Pochettino's side that figured he's the only one United are talking to. He's the only one United have spoken to. So he's the choice. And maybe that's where that assumption came from. At the start of March, they spoke to Ten Hag, and things went on from there. We passed along information from a source on Ten Hag's side. There's a whole article on this that I put together back in the beginning of March, like a deep dive into the chase for the manager situation and about all the talks that went on with Ten Hag from his side, from someone on his side. And in there it's stated as well that even well before the reports came out that Pochettino's likely no longer in the lead for the job. And they'd gone into a lot of detail on things like transfers, budgets, and all of that. And a lot of that's been confirmed and reported since. That same source, who's provided since then an enormous amount of correct information to me, put in the Discord a few days ago, was that they were working on the contracts. In the last video, I kept saying the delay is not because of Pochettino. The delay doesn't mean Ten Hag isn't getting the job. I kept telling people that. There's people who kept running around saying they're delaying, they're waiting for Pochettino. Like I said, I always felt he was a credible candidate, but I did not believe that the wait for the last couple of weeks had anything to do with Pochettino specifically, or that it meant that the Ten Hag wouldn't get the job. A few days ago, that same source said that they were working on the contracts, and that was put in Discord. That same source is the one who said back in the beginning of March, that passed to me when March 15, when Ajax got knocked out of the Champions League, he said he felt like it was a disaster. And that's just all he said. You know, you win some, you lose some. Obviously, at the time, he was worried that this would have an effect on the chase for the manager, or his how Ten Hag would be judged for the manager position, but clearly it didn't have an effect, you know? Anyway, this source has been giving some great information on Ten Hag's side, and I think will be incredibly useful coming up into summer to help confirm a lot of the information we're getting from other areas, targets, things like that, where the info is usually very good. So, you know, as long as you don't read into every tiny little statement or sentence and make a bigger deal of it than it is, and take things so seriously, then it's easy to take this information and kind of use it to help us determine what's going to happen in the future. Adding to that, on March 27th, I spoke about René Mollenstein in the video posted on March 27th. To keep an eye on René Mollenstein, I posted that clip on Twitter. Nobody had reported this, and now it's being reported in the breaking news from ESPN on the appointment of Ten Hag. So much as I personally have had my certain biases or opinions on things, I've tried to report this very fairly and clearly have given some information of value to the matter. But I take responsibility for, you know, anything with regards to prior reporting on Pochettino, Ten Hag, and I stand by it. A lot of it was very much correct, and I still believe a lot of it was correct. But regardless, we move on now. Ten Hag has been appointed, or will be appointed, the manager. I back him. I think everybody will back him. I'm excited what happens, and as I mentioned before, I think the biggest thing I would ask of any fans, people who are asking for him now, is be patient. I think he's going to take a while to be successful at United. I think it's going to take a couple of years. I don't think you can expect things to turn around that quickly. I hope they do, but everybody needs to be patient. I backed Oli, I backed Jose, I backed everybody, and I'm going to back this manager to the end, and hope that we can get back on top. I think it's important, again, to acknowledge that Murtough and Fletcher have made these decisions, and that Ten Hag is being brought in as a coach. This was the other thing mentioned, that he fits in properly to the current structure as a coach, that the recruitment will still be focused based on club targets, on the hierarchy of Murtough, Fletcher, and Ten Hag as a coach, and that we have a modern structure in place. And I think that's going to make a big difference to not have a whole haphazard decision-making and management. So I'll get some more updates on transfer plans, but a lot of the targets remain the same. I expect the midfield targets to remain the club targets we've discussed. As I mentioned before, Tchouaméni's looking elsewhere, and then reports came out that he looks likely headed to Madrid and or somewhere else, PSG maybe. Pogba will still leave, most likely. I think the main thing where there's going to be some influence right away is, number one, in the forwards, you probably write off Harry Kane immediately. A young forward, a big push for someone like Darwin Nunez. I think you should see that. I think we're going to see that. I think Ten Hag is going to get some good money this summer, and someone like Darwin Nunez would be amazing. Hopefully they push for him and can bring someone like him in. We'll see what this might mean for some of our younger players like Jimmy Garner, for Pellistri, Diallo, these players who are kind of looking for a way in. Obviously, Ten Hag being a great manager for young players and developing them, helping them break through. Hopefully he can have a positive influence there, and that might improve the targets. The other area I think he might be looking for something is at center back, and I should have an update coming with regards to defenders and how his opinion will be on that, as Eric Bailly and Phil Jones are likely to leave, and a defender will come in. Araujo is obviously re-signing with Barcelona, as we always expected, but hoped that he did not. So we're going to need to look for a different center back target that will fit the structure, that will fit the play style and the league. So there should be a lot of things happening over the next few weeks to a month. I think it'll be messy. There's going to be tons of reports all over the place about targets, but probably by the end of the month it'll be very solid on what's going on. And I'm very happy that the decision's been made, that the club's moving forward now, and we can focus on what comes next. I think it's going to give a lot of clarity to the players. I expect there'll be an uptick in results, you would hope, with players looking to play and impress for the next manager, the players who are going to be here. I'd really like to see the players who are going to be here next season be the ones getting minutes, getting play, and getting involved, so they get a chance to really show what they're made of, as Ten Hag will obviously be watching every game, watching film, and being in discussions probably with players and their reps. That's usually what happens in this case. So that's what's going on today. There'll be some more news, obviously, once it's confirmed. Then we will, talk about some more things, and I'll bring some more updates as things change moving forward. But manager decision seemingly finally made, and we've got something new and exciting to look forward to over the next few years. So thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications on, and leave your questions in the comments below. See you later.